everybody, it is Friday the 6th of February and I don't usually work a Friday, but the last few I have done just because of various events, and I'm now off to a sort of all day away day sort of planning event for the organisation that I work for. So I thought I'd just do a little update because I've literally just sent off some emails in relation to recruitment just before which was really helpful actually, just before I got going with the drive. So where are we? So I probably updated last that we were either due to have the interviews or had just had the interviews, and then I needed to sort of get together with Becky, who was on the panel as well, to discuss who we were going to offer work to. It was a really difficult decision actually, because we had in the end two strong candidates, and there was sort of one that scored higher than the other, but could absolutely see the value in what both of them brought, and there was also elements of sort of one person needed more resource support because they don't currently deliver out in the community as a sort of workshop leader. So this is for the early years creative leader roles or role. And the other one delivers all the time, but then doesn't have necessarily the right safeguarding paperwork. So both would kind of cost to bring on board, but I think would be worth it. And so in the end, I went back and just said, really transparently or fully transparent, we've got two great candidates. We'd love to offer you both the work, but don't want to kind of overpromise and not have enough work to offer, bearing in mind this whole issue with the lag funding and whether or not we got put forward for this round or the next round, which I have chased and I'm yet to hear back to see if we even got considered. I don't know. So like, what is your availability in the week? Because the days that we've got are set, or the kind of bookings that we've got are pretty set, and we've heard back from one but not heard back from the other, which is fine because I've chased the other one just to see if it's an email problem or something, or a change of heart. But actually the kind of response from the one that I have been speaking to, I thought was so sort of, I've been working with this person for about a month or so now, because they've shown great interest and kind of loyalty to the company, and every time I'm like, sorry I'm late, sorry I haven't replied, like, you know, it's really backed up. They're so gracious in their reply and so patient and supportive. I'm like, yeah, I really want this person on board. So what I originally said was I would like to go out and offer them both work, which I still do, but I think what I'll do is actually bring that person on board with the bit of work that we've got. Originally I was going to deliver at the Barrington Centre and kick it off and like establish it, and then potentially bring someone else in if I was struggling for capacity. But as she's rightfully said, or they've rightfully said, sorry, and they're kind of aware of how busy it is. That's why they got in touch, because they were like, I think this is something that I can help with. They've kind of said, isn't the whole point of this to free yourself up to do the other work, Wakey Wakey Arts? And that is true. So I think I will actually co-deliver with them. So unfortunately make a bit of a loss probably to begin with. Well, a loss not on paper but just of my time, because I'll pay them the full fee, I expect, because I wouldn't want to have them travel and not be paid the amount that they were offered in the job like description. But we'll both deliver it. I'll invest my time, probably free me up to do a bit more marketing and posting and photography and things like that as it gets started. I know we've got somebody due to come, because they used to come to my classes in Kinston and then I stopped, and so they've been waiting, and they said they're going to come in March, so, which is amazing. And I do believe that they'll be there. I think they're even jiggling their routine around, so I don't want to then have somebody else deliver and not be there and not have that connection with them, because the whole point is they kind of bought into me, which was really special. But then I guess it will be this person's class, not mine, and that's fine. I think that's fine. I think that's healthy. So So yeah, and then if we get more delivery in Ferndown through the funding, then I can then say to this person that you're not just bank sort of cover staff. There is ongoing work if you'd like it. I just need to make sure there are enough like basic base props. So the kind of basic batch of props that I need, that I've realised that I need to double up on, is bubbles, sensory light, playmat, a speaker, which is like a good like £150 worth of stuff. There's more things than that as well. Bubble juice, and then all like the standard props. And so if I'm splitting them between 3, if I'm delivering still, and if Becky's delivering the Poole Museum, that's actually 4. So yeah, I'll see, because there's going to be a bit of an investment to begin with, but perhaps that's okay, I don't know. So yeah, there was that element of recruitment to update on. And then in terms of what we've done this week, so in terms of Poole Museum, that we've started to advertise that directly to the Old Town families in Poole. So that will be 20 spaces will be open to that cohort of people, and it won't be sort of advertised widely. So I think I'll probably document how it's going, but not say when it happens or what time it is or anything like that, in order to sort of support Poole Museum's funding really, and sort of data, because they want to be reaching those specific families. But that would be really lovely. So that's Becky delivering that, and I'm quite excited to go to that and like see somebody else deliver. And I've now got, I reckon about 4 lesson plans that I've delivered recently that I can sort of keep the props to one side for and give her 4 sessions. So she's coming over next week, and I'm going to sort of talk her through the session plans. I need to type them up at some point. So that's kicking off on the 20th of February, and then I guess at the halfway point, because it's just 8 weeks, that one, I'll then give her another 4 session plans, and then that'll be her done. But I have heard sort of through meeting about the marketing and things like that, that there is the kind of loose plan to continue it if it goes well. So that's actually like a partnership that I hope isn't just we do a bit, we get the funding, we do a bit, we get the funding. Like, I hope that's going to be a long-term thing. That'd be lovely. So that's that one, 20th of Feb, and then 26th of Feb, we're starting the young parents group at Totton Creative Hub, which I was getting a bit like, it's coming, I need to plan the lessons, but I'm not worried about that, because I know that I can do that super fast, and I've already got in my head the kind of thing that I want to deliver, and I keep seeing things online that I'm like, save that, that's a good idea. But I was really worried about recruitment, because the NHS partner we were working with is just really, really busy, and every time I email her, it takes a while to reply, and then she says it's been awfully busy basically, and I'll get to it, I'll mention it, I'll circulate it or whatever. But I didn't really know whether that's landing at all with young parents. But actually we had somebody sign up, which is great. Whether they turn up or not is a different matter, a different story. We'll just wait and see. Then we had what did we have? We had 2 young parents turn up to Wiggles and Giggles yesterday, and their sisters, and one of them I've met maybe 3 times now, so she's come a number of times and I think trusts me, and I played with her little girl a little bit, and it was actually a really special class. Like, we had a photographer there, which I think made everybody listen much better, so it was a bit less crazy. Like, it's still really busy, but it wasn't like disrespectful, which it sometimes can be, even though I'm sure no one intends to be disrespectful. It's sometimes difficult to teach and sort of get the most out of the session because people are just talking. So that was a really, really, really lovely class, and like photographically very lovely to look at. Just by chance, as I completely forgot the camera was coming. But we used the leaves and things, so it was really beautiful. So I'm looking forward to seeing what those look like. Wish I'd washed my hair beforehand, but never mind. What does it matter? It's not about me. And then what am I saying? So 2 people came and we sort of had a good connection, and I said, did you know we're starting these classes? Please consider coming along. We really want it to continue. If you think it'd be useful, please come, because if we don't fill it, it can't continue. And like, it will basically be like this, but a little bit gentler, and aimed at under 2s. And then after the session, people were sort of leaving, and there were 2 more parents sort of loitering outside looking at the flyer, and I said to them, I asked if they wanted to know more about the group, and then they were like, yeah, we'll come next week, because one of them's got a niece that's 5, so they were like struggling to 2 seconds. They were struggling to take her places when they look after her, like to take the baby somewhere, because they're looking after the niece who's stopping them getting into baby classes. So they are talking about Wiggles and Giggles, but then I said, how old are you? And they said they were 23 and 21. And I said, well, actually, if you're around in the afternoon on a Thursday, then please come along to the young parents group. It's funded, blah blah blah, we want to make the most of it. So that's like 5 people that know about it that want to come. I know that there's one lady who comes to Wiggles and Giggles, has been like a piece of the furniture. She's come so much, and she wants to come because she's got a new little baby, and she thinks she can come during her toddler's nap, but she isn't a young parent, so technically shouldn't be coming. But there is there are numbers if we need to sort of make it feel a bit more comfortable for other people, or newbies coming. So yeah, so it's really exciting. So that's the 2 that are sort of starting this month. Feeling slightly more ready for them than I was, just because it feels like there are actually going to be numbers in the room. And then come the 3rd of March, we start up the Brampton Centre, which I still need to go and put a poster up about in various different places, and kind of start advertising. But I also think because we're there for a year, if it's a slow burn and it takes the pressure off slightly, it does. And if we get established in the space with the props and things, and a new teacher, then there's not so much over pressure. We'll just let it sort of grow organically, because there is just a lot on at the moment. And then in terms of funding, so this is the other thing that I've just done yesterday, is I've applied for £2,000 with God's House Tower in Southampton, who are giving it's called Pitch Your Project bursary, but this time it's focused around International Women's Day, and so it's got to be women-led projects for women, by women, about women, and so because we're trying to find funding to continue Wiggles and Giggles beyond the end of March at Cheltenham Creative Hub, obviously they're a Southampton-based or SO-based group. So I've applied for funding for 10 more sessions, which isn't many, but it was all I could fit into the funding. By the time we've done venue hire, artist fees, resources, snacks, things like that, travel, which obviously eats hugely into because of where I live, which might play against me slightly because I'm Dorset based, not even Hampshire. But obviously the group is for Southampton people. And it's got to end in an exhibition. That's one of their conditions, is they've got to be able to exhibit the outcomes of the project, whether it's like impact or whether it's just the product that's made, like art that's made in the sessions. So I've said for an exhibition, I'd like to have a photographer in to document the kind of journey, and we can only get them in twice again because of the budget, but to document the journey of the session, like the development of the child, which is obviously changing all the time, but also the development of the relationships between the grown-ups and the children, but also between the grown-ups and the grown-ups and the children and the children. So it's like a real celebration of relationships and the supporting relationships that come in, that helps in a woman's life at what is one of the most vulnerable times of her life, be it because she's a new mum, struggling mum of 2, like new mum of 2, or whether she's a granny or a nan, who now we have, like yesterday we had 4 grandparents in the room, and I was like, yes. So I would really love to like have some portraits done of those beautiful relationships, but also of like more candid shots of the sessions and just the things that we do, and then maybe even exhibit some of the stuff that's made. So like it might be like large scale paintings, or it might be a sculpture of like a tree with different tags hanging off of it, talking about with like all the different relationships, like auntie, cousin, sister, friend, and then like the word that summarizes that relationship, or something more interactive. Like I think it could be really beautiful. And then because we haven't got much money for the exhibition, I was like, okay, how can it be interesting? But we could always put props and like outcomes from the session. So like it could be like a shaving foam, crusted baby grow from when we played with shaving foam, or it could be like pineapples and melons with golf tees in, which we did yesterday, which was so fun, because they hammered the golf tees into the vegetables, and it helped with their fine motor skills and sort of coordination. But they looked really cool. Like when I got these pineapples out, and they looked crazy because they had all these golf tees coming out of them. So that could be really cool, like like on a plinth, a pineapple covered in golf tees. Yeah, things like that are just like visual reminders and visual representations of the sessions that happen. Because we're just waiting for funding to know if Fluid Motion Theatre Company have got their funding or not to continue the class. Obviously I want to know what I'm doing on a Thursday morning, but it's not a problem really, because I can pick up more work, more hours elsewhere. Obviously I need all the time I can get to help plan Wakey Wakey Art stuff, so it isn't really a problem if I don't deliver on a Thursday, but I would miss the group hugely. I love the routine, I love delivering, and they also come week in, week out to have the class, so like I feel like I've got a responsibility to them to keep it going. So we get the deadline for that is the 9th. Today it is the 6th, and then I think if you get through this round, you then have to go and pitch your project for 10 minutes at God's House Tower on the 6th of March, I think, which is International Women's Day. So it's quite lovely. All lots of exciting things happening. Again, mostly wiggles and giggles stuff. But now that I've delivered those projects for the partner that I work for, or the organisation that I work for, I'm hoping to go for the Develop Your Creative Practice strand of the Arts Council before it closes, to get this MAPS space growing and to get doing some research between like arts and play and different locations that people can go, like that there are for children and things. So I'm hoping it frees me up a little bit more to do some of that bid writing. So that's me, and I've just been offered another project as part of the organisation that I work for. So it's only a very small project, but it's potentially more hours or just more work. So if I wanted to fill my time, then I can. And obviously the sole trader work is enough of a proportion of my earnings to warrant me not being employed by Wakey Wakey Arts. Although actually talking to the accountant and going through all of that stuff last week or the week before, she's actually put me on the payroll as a director that just isn't paid, I think, or put me with PY, something. She's doing something, because I don't get paid as a director at all. I only get paid when funding comes in for specific roles that I play. But I can't remember why she said she's doing that, but that's, I don't know, I probably should know more about that. I'll ask next time. But just as a kind of update for anybody with a CIC, obviously there are a number of ways to go about it, whether you're employed or self-employed. I've found being self-employed, as I've explained before, makes more sense for me, and incurs less cost for the company, needed less reserves and things like that. But for whatever reason, there's benefit to being put on as an unpaid member of staff. So that might be something that should be explored if you're also in a position of wondering what you should do. And then in my head I've got a few things that I want to add to the website, to the Creatives Toolbox page. So now that I've got Loon on board as an admin person, which I need to put on the website as a member, I need to put them on the website as a member of the team. They're going to be uploading the top tips to the webpage, and also some other things like how to write a budget, how to keep a budget, because that's not something I learned until I was at Artswork, a couple of years after leaving uni. So even though I worked as an intern, I I monitored budgets and updated them. I didn't build them, and so I didn't understand how to properly record every piece of expenditure and be able to track it back and know what I would need to know. So I could do formulas and things, but I never knew. I was just adding to the total of expenditure rather than being equal sum bracket item, and then somewhere plus, and then somewhere else you have the actual expense individual. I bought props for £2.50 on this date, and then the £2.50 in the sum formula on the kind of budget spreadsheet relates to those props. So it's things like that that I think I could just do with updating a few bits now on the website. So busy but fruitful and creative time. I feel a little bit like there's more room for creativity now and a bit less kind of pressure, which is really nice. And off for an enjoyable day, meeting some new people and kind of seeing the fruits of my labour, really, because I now know quite a few faces. I went to an event at Christmas with this organisation, and was still very much like in the discovering mode, like how does this organisation run, how do they conduct themselves, who is the full team, who are the people that I should know, sort of thing. So but now I feel like I've put in a bit of legwork just through like working, being around a bit more for a couple more months. I've just naturally picked up more names and sort of roles and understood who's who a little bit more, which is really helpful. So hopefully it's going to be a really nice day, and it's at a really cool venue, arts venue, or cultural venue, which I haven't been to since I was little. So that would be lovely. But yes, anyway, so I hope you have a lovely weekend when it comes, and I shall speak to you soon. Bye.